Here's the first steps you need to know if you're thinking about making a move to Florida.
And we're getting started right now.
After you watch this video, if you are looking to move to the area,
make sure to call, text, or email me. My information will be in the description box below. I hear from people every day and I love it.
That phone number is 941-221-1897.
There's a couple different ways that you can find an area, and in this video we are going to tell you right now what those steps are.
Yeah, a few different things you can do is kind of what our step 2 is. So step 2 and step 1 can be sort of interchangeable, which is doing some research. But another way you might be able to find an area you want to be in is maybe it's a place you visited, maybe you've heard from friends or family. There's a lot of resources, or possibly even our YouTube channel, other people's YouTube channels. There's a lot of stuff you can see on YouTube, or maybe you saw a top 10 list of places to live. Florida often makes those lists. So there's a lot of different ways you can find that area.
YouTube is a great tool. Use it to your advantage. Use this channel to your advantage.
Something to keep in mind is at this point in your process, think about as you're starting really broad, Florida as a whole, and you're going to start to narrow down. Maybe you'll find a couple different options based on magazines with top 10 lists, YouTube, friends and family, whatever that might look like. And that'll put you kind of onto a certain area to some degree. That brings us to where you can start to refine it a little bit more. And again, this could be your step 1, but that would be step 2, which is to research an area.
Yeah, and to research an area, you can use Trulia. The crime maps there are great. We actually have a video diving deep into all the tools we use when we moved from Wisconsin to Florida.
The link for that will be in the description.
You can also use niche.com and areavibes.com.
Yeah, those were great. They give a lot of reviews on different things and ratings for crime levels, schools, cost of living, cost of houses, you name it, and they basically have you covered. So you can really get a really good idea, and they'll have like a short paragraph or two describing the area. And then also with that research phase, you could go back to YouTube and look some more into maybe some driving around videos. We use some of those on the channel, videos where maybe they're explaining the city and talking to the locals. Again, that video that we'll have linked in the description down below is going to go really in depth into some of those different resources that you can use, but that'll help you, I think, refine and make sure, okay, this is an area I want to be.
Area Vibes or niche.com, I'm not 100% sure which one it is. It also lets locals review the neighborhood, so you'll actually see comments from real people who live there or who had lived there. It's great. I mean, take that with a grain of salt because, if you have a bad experience, maybe your review won't be as pleasant, but if you have a great experience, it might be very pleasant. So take that with a grain of salt, but at the same time, that can help you decide, okay, this is the neighborhood, this is the city I want to be in.
Yeah, like she said, I wouldn't put too much stock in one or two reviews just because people tend to leave reviews when they're really happy or they're really mad, and it's not usually one that's somewhere in between, unfortunately.
Step 3 would be to visit the area like you live there.
Yeah, I think that's a really important step. So you can, basically go through your day-to-day activities. Like, okay, I wake up in the morning. If I was living in this neighborhood, I would drive to work. This is what that drive is like. I got to go to the post office. Here's what that would be like. Here's the restaurants. All the stuff you would do in a normal day-to-day basis. I think it's really important to do that so you can see what those things are going to look like, what they're going to feel like, what the traffic's going to be like at those times, because there's all these little things that you're probably not thinking about when you're just watching these videos and you're thinking about the palm trees and the beach or Disneyland or
the sunsets.
Yeah, all the stuff you think you're going to be doing all day, every day, which we all know probably isn't going to be the case. If it is, hey, good for you. Then just look into the leisure maybe. But outside of that, then I would say doing this step is really important.
Also, you can do this in Trulia where they have a commute tab. Trulia is great. I love Trulia. You can go into the commute tab and put in the address of the house you're interested in and put in whatever your job would be located, and it'll give you the times, how long it's going to take you to get there, or the mileage.
Yeah, that's amazing. And another thing, again, we mentioned this in the other video that will be linked in the description, is Google Street View. I mean, that's another way to and watching YouTube videos to kind of hack being there without being there. You can kind of say, okay, here's a house I think I like. Let's use Google Street View to see what the houses in the neighborhood look like. You could either go all the way down the road to the next main road or whatever that may be. So it's a really good resource as well. But again, that video in the description down below will really help with a lot of that stuff. Somebody wanted to be a part of this video. Poppy. You want to be in the video? You're in the video now.
You want to give dogs for tips moving to Florida?
Step number cuatro. Yeah, see, my Spanish is pretty good. Number 4 is to get your money or your job in order. I'll let you take this one because this gets into all that technical stuff that that's you.
Yeah, so when moving to Florida or to any other state, really, it's very difficult unless, I mean, remote work, it's very common right now, so it's a lot easier for a lot of people. But if you can get your job to transfer you down here, it's the best way you can go about it. Unless, again, you're working from home, then it's a whole different story. It's a lot easier. But yes, just getting your job transferred, because if you're financing and you don't have a job here, you really can't, you won't get approved anywhere. Even if you do have the down payment, it's just not gonna happen. And a lot of times it is easier if you have an offer of acceptance for a job. But in order to get a job, they ask you for an address in Florida, so you can't, if you're buying, you can't get an address unless you have a job. So it's like a big deal, and trying to figure out how to do those things. The easiest way, again, if you're remote working, you're fine. If you are at an actual job, try to get that job to transfer you down. The other option would be just buy the home in Florida as a second home or as a vacation home. Typically, you're going to need about a 10% down payment, and then just wait until the closing to try to find a new job, and then you can move down.
Yeah, or maybe find one during that time.
But do not quit your job while you're going through the financing process, because then if you quit your job because you found a new job in Florida, then your financing is not going to go through.
And one other thing I'll throw out there as a possibility, you're gonna run into probably a lot of the same issues though, would be to rent until you could buy the house. But then again, a lot of rentals, they're gonna want either a big down payment for the first month or 2 of rent, or they're going to want you to have that job down here already. So kind of a chicken and the egg thing.
And rentals are very expensive. I mean, anywhere really.
And hard to find right now.
Yes. And anywhere really, if you buy, a lot of times your monthly payment is a lot less than what your rent would be. So it is a better investment to build, equity and wealth to actually buy something instead of renting, because every month that money is just, you're just paying your landlord's mortgage is what it comes down to. So would you rather pay your landlord's mortgage, or would you rather pay your own mortgage?
Yeah, you're basically giving money away versus putting into the savings account that's almost guaranteed over time in the long term to appreciate. I mean, it makes sense. Next thing you want to do is get pre-qualified. Once again, I'm going to leave it up to the realtor / former loan officer. She'll tell you all the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, so before you even start looking at houses, the first thing you want to do is get pre-qualified, get pre-approved. Because if you don't know what you can get approved for, you're really not, you're going to start looking at houses that maybe are over your budget, and then you're gonna fall in love with a house that's it has everything you ever wanted, and then you go to get pre-approved and you can't get that house. So now every other house that is within your budget, it's not going to be good enough for you. So the first thing before even looking at houses or anything, once you have an area that you want to move down to, talk to your lender, talk to a mortgage broker. If you're self-employed, it's better if you talk to a mortgage broker, just because they have different financing institutions that they have, they'll work with you to see who can get you pre-approved. A bank, it's a little more difficult to get you pre-approved. So yeah, talk to a mortgage broker or a lender and get pre-approved, and then you can start looking at houses.
Which brings us to the final step, which is if you're considering moving to the Venice, Inglewood, Nokomis, Northport, or Sarasota areas, check out this video right here over my face. That's gonna give you some more details about what you need to do next. But if you want to kind of shortcut that process and you're sure this is the area you want to be,
call, text, or email me. My information will be in the description box below. I hear from people every day and I love it.
Subscribe, hit the like button, turn on all notifications, all that, and
live breezy.